The media will use the term underrated or overuse it to describe a person or a thing or an event that needs more recognition, and I think this person is one of the most underrated actresses of all time. She passed away this week after a long battle with dementia, but Sally Kellerman brought a luminous style to her work. Very, very beautiful, very talented, great singing voice, great voiceover work, could play any character role going. Most well known for her performances in Star Trek and Back to School, and of course Hot Lips Houlihan in the Robert Altman version of the MASH books. But Sally Kellerman will be recognized from now until the end of time as being dedicated to the craft she was born to be a part of, whether it be presentation or voice work or just being a great supporting or lead player. Now, she was born June 2nd, 1937 in Long Beach, California. Her acting career spanned over 7 decades. Her role as Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan in Robert Altman's film MASH in 1970 earned her a well-deserved Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress. After MASH, she appeared in a number of directors' projects, including the films Brewster McCloud, Welcome to L.A., The Player, and Pret-a-Porter, and a short-lived and critically acclaimed anthology TV series Gun. In addition to her work with Altman, she appeared in films such as Last of the Red Hot Lovers, Back to School, plus numerous television series such as The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, the second pilot of Star Trek in '66, Bonanza, The Minor Accomplishments of Jackie Woodman, 90210, the second version, Chemistry, and Manon. She also voiced Miss Finch in Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird. Now, at age 18, Kellerman had signed a recording contract with Verve, but her last album, Roll with the Feeling on the Decca label, was not recorded but her first album was not recorded until 1972. A second album, Sally, was eventually released 37 years later. 37 years later. Kellerman also contributed songs to the soundtracks for Brewster McCloud, Lost Horizon, the remake, of course, Rafferty and the Gold Dust Twins, and Boris and Natasha, the movie. Now, she also did commercial voiceover work for Hidden Valley Ranch, Mercedes-Benz, and Revlon. Kellerman's animation work included A Mouse and His Child, Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird, Happily Ever After, Dinosaurs, Unsupervised, and the High Fructose Adventures of the Annoying Orange. In April 2013, she released her memoir, Read My Lips, Stories of a Hollywood Life, describing her trials and tribulations in the entertainment business. Now, Sally Claire Kellerman was born in Long Beach to Edith Bain, nee Vaughn, a piano teacher from Portland, Arkansas, and John Jack Kellerman, a Shell Oil executive from St. Louis. Sally has an older sister, Diana Dean Kellerman. Her younger sister, Victoria Vaughn Vicky Kellerman, died in infancy. Edith was a Christian Scientist and raised her daughters in this faith. Now, while Kellerman was in the 5th grade, the family moved from Long Beach to the San Fernando Valley. She spent her early life in the dense rural Granada Hills in a largely unpopulated area surrounded by orange and eucalyptus groves. During her sophomore year of high school, the Kellermans moved from San Fernando to Park La Brea, L.A., where she attended the infamous Hollywood High School. Due to her shyness, Kellerman made few friends and received poor grades, except choir and physical education. However, she acted in a school production of Meet Me in St. Louis with the help of a high school friend. She eventually submitted the recording demo to Verve founder and head Norman Grounds. After signing a contract with Verve, however, she was daunted by the task of becoming a recording artist and walked away. Now, she eventually then attended LA City College, but also enrolled in the great Jeff Corey's acting class. Of course, Jeff Corey, well known as an actor, but his acting class had created so many performers over the years, there's countless. Within a year, she appeared in a production of John Osborne's Look Back in Anger, staged by Corey, and in which featured classmates Shirley Knight, Jack Nicholson, Dean Stockwell, and Robert Blake. Towards the end of the 1950s, Kellerman joined the newly opened Actors Studio West and debuted before the camera in the film Reform Schoolgirl, and at this time, to pay her tuition, Kellerman worked as a waitress at Chez Paulette. Now, The decade in the 1960s was busy for Kellerman as she made a number of television series appearances. She was in an episode of The Western Cheyenne, as well as a role as a waitress in a John Forsythe sitcom, Bachelor Father. Struggling for parts in television and films, Kellerman acted on stage. She debuted in Henrik Ibsen's An Enemy of the People, followed by parts in a Pasadena Playhouse production of Leslie Stevens' The Marriage Go Round and Michael Shurtleff's Call Me By My Rightful Name. Now in 1964, she played Judith Bolero, the manipulative and ruthless wife of Richard Bolero, played by Martin Landau in the now classic episode of The Outer Limits called The Bolero Shield. A role as Holly Mitchell, perverted mistress of George Brevard's character in the film The Third Day, followed. She eventually played leading lady to David Niven in his television series The Rogues in 1964 for an episode titled God Bless You, G. Carter Huntington, which revolved around her striking beauty to a large degree, and she also appeared in the 1965 Alfred Hitchcock Hour episode titled Thou Still Unravished Bride. A year later, she played psychiatrist Elizabeth Daner, who studied the long-term effects of a space on a crew in Where No Man Has Gone Before, the second pilot for Star Trek. Now, this episode can be still found on Netflix, probably one of the most interesting performances of a lead actress in a Star Trek episode, because the depth that the character showed wasn't really presented enough in a short episode. It's funny, people in the Star Trek universe wouldn't go back and revisit the character. Now, 3 months after she filmed this, she played Mag Wildwood in the original Broadway production of Breakfast at Tiffany's, directed by Joseph Anthony and produced by David Merrick, which closed after 4 preview performances. Before the closing, the musical numbers were recorded live, and she recorded 3 songs which appeared on the original cast recording. Now, near the end of the decade, she guest starred in The Invaders in the episodes Labyrinth in 1968. She also had turns as a severely beaten and only surviving victim of Albert DeSalvo in The Boston Strangler, a very chilling performance, of course, and Phyllis Brubaker, Jack Lemmon's materialistic wife in The April Fools. She eventually turned down a role in Powell Mazursky's Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice, and she eventually then played Eleanor in the Y50 episode The Big Kahuna. In a 1971 Life magazine interview, Kellerman remembered her television years. It took me 8 years to get into TV and 6 years to get out. Frigid women, alcoholics they gave me. I got bed up, I got raped, and never played comedy, which I think was her forte, as we're going to see very soon. Her breakthrough role, of course, came as Major Margaret Hotlips Houlihan in Robert Altman's MASH in 1970. Her performance received Academy Award and Golden Globe nominations, and she won the Kansas City Film Critics Circle Award for Best Supporting Actress, the Golden Laurel for Best Comedy Performance, and a second place in the National Society of Film Critics Award for Best Supporting Actress. The Kellerman was eventually featured in Life magazine, and she again collaborated with Altman and Brewster McCloud as Louise, Guardian Angel to Bud Cort, and recorded Rockabye Baby for the film's soundtrack. Now, Margaret Hotlips Houlihan was a little bit different than the Loretta Swit version of the small screen. If anything, this version was a little bit younger and a little bit more ice princess, but her luminous looks really distracted from what the character really was. She was a career nurse, and although she seemed very ditzy in certain scenes, if anything, that created a character that 52 years later we're still talking about, so she must have done a good job. Now, the actress's next role was a hostile, chain-smoking, sex-addicted woman who was trying to have an afternoon affair with Alan Arkin's character in Gene Saks' film adaptation of Neil Simon's comedy, Lass and Red Hot Lovers. In Manhattan after the film, Kellerman declined an offer for a 10-page spread in Vogue from the then editor-in-chief Grace Mirabella. When she turned down the part of Linda Rogo in A Poseidon Adventure, Stella Stevens, of all people, got the role. Shortly afterwards, she recorded finally her first demo with Lou Adler and rolled with the Feeling for Decca Records with producer-arranger Gene Page. After filming Lass and Red Hot Lovers, she passed up on a role in another Altman film. Now, she said, I had just finished filming Lass and Red Hot Lovers when Bob called me one day at home "Sally, do you want to be in my picture after next?" he asked. "Only if it's a good part," I said. He hung up on me. Bob was as stubborn and arrogant as I was at the time, but the sad thing is that I cheated myself out of working with someone I loved so much. Someone who made acting more fun and easy, and who frustrated his actors. Stars would line up to work for nothing for Bob Altman. Oh, by the way, the Altman film I turned down? Nashville. And that part I would have been able to sing. That was a bad choice. Now, Kellerman's next roles, including as a woman involved in a deadly plot in a slasher film, A Reflection of Fear, an eccentric woman in a road movie, Slither, starring James Caan, and a tormenting journalist in Charles Jarrett's musical remake of Frank Capra's Lost Horizon. She was also contributing to the latter's soundtrack. 2 years later, she played McKinley Beechwood in Dick Richards' Rafferty and the Gold Dust Twins, one of the 2 women who kidnapped driving instructor and former United States Marine Corps gunnery sergeant Rafferty, Alan Arkin. She also sang the song Honky Tonk Angels in this film. Now, in October of '75, Kellerman sang at the Reno Sweeney and performed 2 shows nightly at the Rainbow Grill from November 25th to December 14th. Her next appearance was as Sybil Crane, a woman in the midst of a divorce, in The Big Bus, a parody of disaster films, followed by a role as a lonely real estate agent in the Alan Rudolph directed and Altman produced Welcome to L.A. The next year, Kellerman appeared a week-long run of cabaret concerts, beginning at the Grand Finale Club on May 2nd, songs that even including versions of Leon Russell and Betty Everett hits. Now, by the end of the decade, her roles included Maureen, a veteran vaudevillian in Verna, USO Girl, Veronica Sterling, a party-addicted socialite in the made-for-television movie She'll Be Sweet, and Lise Buckweiss, one of the several wives of Pasquinel, Robert Conrad, and the daughter of Herman Bachweiss, Raymond Burr, in the 12-episode miniseries Centennial. Kellerman played Kay King, the pretentious and kooky mother of a love-lorn daughter, Diane Lane, in George Roy Hill's A Little Romance. Of course, everybody remembers that. Now, Kellerman began the decade of the 1980s as Mary, a divorced, middle-aged suburban mother struggling to raise her rebellious daughter, Jodie Foster, in Adrian Lyne's Foxes. Martha, 6 times married eccentric in Bill Persky's Serial, and a silly but sophisticated Mrs. Lidgett in Jack Smite's Loving Couples. Her later roles included Mary, a child psychiatrist in a sadomasochistic relationship with a psychology professor, Stephen Lackman, after you meet by accident, literally, in Michael Grant's Head On, and a 1920 socialite in Kirk Browning's made-for-television film adaptation of Dorothy Parker's 1929 short story, Big Blonde. Now, from October to November 1980, she starred as Julia Seton in a Armstrong theater production of Philip Perry's Holiday, which was directed by Robert Allen Ackerman, with Kevin Kline, Maurice Evans, and Marisa Berenson. Now, in February '81, the actress hosted Saturday Night Live, appearing in 4 sketches, and closed the show with Donna Summers starting over again. Kellerman's next performances were made for TV films. She played the character's first wife, Maxine Cates, in the Jack Dempsey telefilm, and a honky-tonk dance hall proprietress in September Gun. That year, she also appeared in stage production, Tom Ian's R-rated spoof of 1940s women prison films, Women Behind Bars. In this production, Kellerman played Gloria, a tough inmate who controls the other prisoners. Now, her next roles were a KBG training school warden in made-for-TV film Secret Weapons, the sadomasochistic judge Nidra Henderson in Moving Violations. Of course, Rodney Dangerfield's love interest in Alan Menner's comedy Back to School, which drew much interest of a possible second Academy Award nomination, or even a Golden Globe. Julie Andrews and Jack Lemmon's eccentric neighbor in Black Edwards' That's Life. A porn star trying to get into heaven in the Canadian farce Meatballs 3, Summer Job, and Kerry Green's mother in Tree for the Road, and an actress in Henry Jaglome's Someone to Love. Late in the decade, Kellerman planned to release her second album, which would have included It's Good to Be Bad, It's Bad to Be Good, from the 1992 Boris and Natasha live-action version of the Rocky and Bullwinkle series. Now, she produced the film as well and also starred in as Natasha Fatale. However, the album was never released. Now, in 1992, there was a fourth collaboration between Kellerman and Altman in The Player, in which she appeared as herself. She also had supporting roles in Younger and Younger, Murder, She Wrote, and Mirror, Mirror 2, Raven Dance, which was the sequel of the Yvonne De Carlo, Karen Black horror film Mirror, Mirror. The actress appeared in another Altman film, Pret-a-Porter, as Sissy Wanamaker, editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar, and this film co-starred with Tracy Ullman and Linda Hunt. Now, during filming, Altman flew Kellerman and co-star Lauren Bacall from Paris for his tribute at Lincoln Center, and from April 18 to May 21st, 1995, Kellerman played the title role in the Maltz Jupiter Theater production of Mame. Around this time, Kellerman appeared in back-to-back plays in Boston and, of all places, Edmonton. In Boston, she played Martha in the Hasty Pudding Club Theatricals production of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and starred as Mary Jane Darkworth in the two-character production of Lay of the Land with Michael Hogan in Edmonton. That year, Kellerman planned to release his second album, Something Cool, featuring songs from the 1950s. Now, numerous roles followed, including an episode of Naked Truth, and she also appeared in Altman's episode of the director's TV series Gun, and she also co-produced and reprised her Canadian stage role in the film version of The Lay of the Land. Now, in 1997, she was scheduled to play the title role in Mrs. Scrooge's Slightly Different Christmas Carol, a made-for-TV film of Charles Dickens' novella. In the film, Mrs. Scrooge is a homophobic widow whose late partner, Jacob Marley, and three other spirits awaking her to the reality of AIDS. Although it was never released, the actress told a reporter for The Advocate, while the project was more personal than professional, my sister is gay, and it was gay before it was popular. My sister is a very loving person, so is her girlfriend, and my daughter is an amazing woman. They're all heroic in my book. Now, Kellerman, she also appeared in Columbo in 1998 and also joined actresses Kathleen Turner and Beverly Peel in a Planned Parenthood press conference supporting a proposed new law introduced to U.S. Congress. Now, in the 2000s, she was involved in many projects, including voice work and character and lead roles, quite a few. Now, eventually, her music became better focused. In September 2008, she recorded a duet with Ray Brown Jr., who was the son of Ella Fitzgerald and Ray Brown, I Thought About You, for Brown's duet CD Friends and Family. In 2009, she released a jazz and blues album, Sally, her first since Roll with the Feeling a number of years previous. Sally featured interpretations of songs by Linda Ronstadt, Kim Carnes, Aerosmith, Nina Simone, The Motels, Neil Diamond, Jackson Browne, Marvin Gaye, Dolly Parton, Jennifer Warnes, and James Taylor. That year she also played Danette, owner of a small-town diner in a made-for-TV film, The Wishing Well. Now, she co-starred with Ernest Borgnine and Mickey Rooney in Nightclub in 2011. Her performance as a woman with Alzheimer's living in a retirement home won an Accolade Competition Award for Best Supporting Actress. She also had a recurring role that year in Lola, an eccentric artist, in Cinemax's sexually explicit comedy drama series Chemistry, followed by guest appearances on the CW teen drama series 90210. Now, on July 12, 2012, she appeared with Tito Ortiz, Carrie Elwes, and Drake Bell in the episode of Biography Channel Celebrity Ghost Stories. Now, the actress' memoir was eventually released in 2013 called Read My Lips, Story of a Hollywood Life, published by Weinstein Books. Now, in the book, she remembered a close-knit, family-oriented past Hollywood and her triumphs and tribulations as actress during the 1960s. She made numerous promotional book signing appearances throughout the West and East Coast. Now, she eventually received a Fort Lauderdale International Film Festival Lifetime Achievement Award in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, soon after. The ceremony included a montage of her work and an audience question and answer session. Now, In September 2013, filmmaker Ellen Houlihan released the short film Joan's Day Out, in which Kellerman played a grandmother who escapes from her assisted living facility to bail her teenage granddaughter out of prison. Now, she eventually went back to the small screen as TV Line announced that Kellerman had been cast in the mysterious role of Constant Begum of the daytime soap opera The Young and the Restless, and was eventually nominated for a Daytime Emmy as Best Actress in a guest role. Now, in 2016, she continued her recurring role as Marin and played in 5 episodes of the new series Decker. Now, early tragedy for her. In 1961, Kellerman underwent a botched home abortion and went to the hospital for the first time due to her Christian Science upbringing. The relationship that had caused her terminating pregnancy was with actor William Duffy. Now, after the release of MASH, she married Starsky and Hutch producer Rick Edelstein. Annette Comer, Morgan Eames, Elizabeth Hush, Joanne Linville, and Luann Anders were among her bridesmaids. On March 16, 1972, they divorced, citing irreconcilable differences. Now, in 1967, Kellerman's sister Diana came out as a lesbian and separated from her husband Ian Charles Cargill Graham, who took full custody of the couple's daughter, Claire. After Diana Kellerman moved to France with her partner, she didn't communicate with her daughter for 8 years. Sally adopted Claire on January 30, 1976, and on April 10, 1976, Ian Graham died in Edinburgh, Scotland. For a time in the mid-1970s, Kellerman was involved with Mark Farmer of the rock group Grand Funk Railroad. He wrote the wrong Sally from the 76 album Born to Die for her as an ode to their relationship. She also dated screenwriters Lawrence Hoban, David Raphael, and Cheryl Shire, as well as journalist Warren Hodge, producer John Peters, actor Ed Burns, and numerous others. But in her autobiography, Kellerman claimed her relationship with Burns was never consummated. Now, on May 11, 1980, Kellerman married Jonathan D. Crane in a private ceremony at Jennifer Jones's Malibu home. Claire Anderson Graham, 16, Kellerman's niece, adoptive daughter, was her maid of honor. In May 1967, she adopted Claire, and in 1989, Kellerman and Crane adopted newborn twins, Jack Donald and Hannah Vaughn, who were born on June 24th of that year. Unfortunately, Crane died of a heart attack on August 1st, 2016, at the age of 64. Hannah Crane died on October 22nd, 2016, at the age of 27 from a drug overdose. Kellerman and Crane had eventually separated twice during their 36-year-old marriage, first for a few months in 94, then again during 97-98 over Crane's public affair with, of all people, Natasha Kinski. As Kellerman had dated married men in the past, she forgave her husband for the affair. Now, again, Kellerman died of heart failure at a care facility in Woodlands Hills, L.A. at the age of 84, and of course at the time of her death, she was suffering from long-stage dementia. So a life interesting, a life well-lived, and awards and nominations, of course, mostly for MASH, but she got an Emmy nomination in 2015. And considering this, ladies and gentlemen, 45 years between major nominations, and she also got one Canadian Genie nomination for the very underrated It Rained All Night Today I Left as the best performance by a foreign actress. So despite her long career for her acting, she's only literally been nominated for 4 parts, which is, I think, a shock anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story of the great Sally Kellerman. If you like what we're doing here with our Remote Control and Screenshots podcast, let us know with a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, every actress of the 1970s had a little bit of, hard time with the business. Sally Kellerman paved the way for a lot of what I call the ingenues. She wasn't your typical physical beauty, but she was your typical, natural beauty. She wasn't known for her body, but kind of weird. What you think she's most known for was, of course, the scene in MASH where, the shower incident, which I think is more discussed now. Should such a scene remain in a mainstream movie because it's a violation of the physical attributes of a woman? But within the context of the movie, it was just what it was. That was how people, brought other people down through public humiliation. It could have been a man as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sally Kellerman, again, one of the most underrated actors all the time. And when anybody talked about her in my family or friends, they say, anything she's involved with, you can't take your eyes off her, because she was a unique looking person too as well. She seemed almost a combination of Slavic and Viking. It's quite a look, but her personal problems were her own. She never talked about in publicly too much of what you went through until she wrote that book. A very private and respectful person. Thanks for listening. Bye.